Mm. Thank you, Hannes. Thank you all for coming. My name is Angelo Cafaro. I'm a PhD student at CADIA. And our focus is on embodied conversational agents. So software agents that have an embodiment in a virtual character, and they have also conversational skills because they are able to engage and interact with the user using human natural modalities such as verbal behaviors, so their language, or nonverbal behaviors. So, for example, their body language and gestures, smile, or different postures. And in particular, when these agents are able to establish a relationship with the user, we call them relational agents. And these are meant to be used for a long time, so they are meant to interact with the user several times. And at Northeastern University, our collaborators, they discovered that in particular in the health domain, these relational agents are really helpful. And as an example, they built virtual nurses that they can help and assist patients on the discharge time when they leave the hospital, and they can assist them with the medicines that they have to take later at home, and they can follow up them. Or they also used particular trainers that they can be deployed on mobile phones, and they can promote physical activities. So it's like your personal trainer always with you. And the question is, in particular, so what happens if people reject these agents? And the simple answer is that they will not use them anymore. But if they don't use them, they, for example, patients might need to understand what kind of medicines they have to take in a different way, so they have to find a doctor, but the doctor is not always available like the agent. Or, for example, they don't have their personal trainer always available with them at all the times, and there is also an additional cost to have a personal trainer always for you. And these are just some examples, but the health domain is just it's not the only instance where we can use these agents. There are other applications, for example, the educational system where people can be trained to understand different cultures or languages, or we can deploy these agents in the entertainment industry, so to entertain people. And our answer to this problem is that we should follow suggestions from human social psychology. And what human social psychology says is that first impressions are important when you want to build a relationship with one person. So we want to mirror this information, these suggestions, also to the human-agent interaction. And in particular, we know from social psychology that in first encounters, people really pick up a lot of information from another person, and they use this information to later on, during the development of the relationship, to understand and they use this information to evaluate if it is worth to continue this interaction, this relationship with that person. And in particular, people, they are making this prediction according to this information that is basically, it's called predicted outcome value. And they are thinking of if it is worth basically to spend time with this person according to the first impressions that they are forming of the person. But so if we want to talk about impressions, we need to, and in particular in the first encounters, we need to be aware of how can we manage, or how can we make different impressions. And of course, there are different ways. We all know that the appearance is an easy way to change the impressions that we can form on another person, and using different kind of makeup styles or hairstyle or different clothes. But what is also important from what also psychology suggests us is that the verbal behavior or non-verbal behavior, most importantly, are also in important means that we can use to change our impressions, to manipulate our impressions on other persons. And this is really connected to what we are extensively using for our agents. As I said in the first slide, we are making them with conversational skills. So we are making them capable of using these verbal and non-verbal behaviors. So we really need to be aware of what we are doing when we pick up some body language behaviors, for example, and we assign them to an agent. We really need to be aware of what we are doing, because we can easily change the impressions that they are making. And in most of the case, even if we say, okay, we are not using any kind of behavior because this is maybe dangerous for this kind of impression or another, we cannot have a character that is like still and not moving, because we are still making an impression on other person, even if I'm facing you and I'm not moving anything and I'm just watching at you for the whole time. And another important question, another important questions that we have to answer is what are these informations that we can pick up from other persons in first impressions, in first encounters? So we can, for example, think about having impressions of another person's skills or sexual orientation. But it turns out that in particular with nonverbal behaviors, it's very easy to form impressions of personality traits, or which are, for example, fixed traits of a person over the lifetime, like extroversion or introversion, and attitudes that these persons they have with other people, for example, friendliness or hostility. And it's also important to say that these characteristics are very important for virtual characters, and the character creators are really, they do care about this when they want to create a character with consistent personality and also with a clear attitude towards the user. They really want to know if this character is friendly or hostile, and we really want to know if using some nonverbal behaviors, we are creating an hostile character or a friendly character. So to wrap up all together, we decide to make a controlled experiment where people, they just had to approach a virtual agent in a reception of a museum. We built this environment to give a context to people. And we also decide to make two different trials of our experiment where people, where a group of subjects was able to experience the environment in a first view perspective. So as in a way the environment can be seen from the user point of view, or on the other hand, using an avatar in a third view perspective. So watching the environment from a shoulder view of your avatar approaching the agent. And for the whole experiment, we had a total of 64 subjects and 32 for each trial. So every approach had a duration of 12 seconds, and the cues that we manipulated were categorized, these are categorized as immediacy cues. So are nonverbal behaviors that they are really important to in the context of first impressions, in first encounters, to manipulate what we were studying, personality and attitude. And first of all, we manipulated. Our agents exhibited different levels of smile, then different levels of gaze towards the user, and also proximity, which means a step towards the user avatar in the end of the approach, or basically staying still during the whole approach. And when every approach ended, we asked users to make judgments of these agents. And in particular, we asked, what do you think is the agent personality? And what do you think is the attitude that the agent had towards you? And finally, we also asked the users to fill in a self-report questionnaire, personality inventory, because we are also interested in this interaction between human and agent, what is the human perspective and what is exactly the human that is interacting with this agent. So we also think that there is there are some features in the user that are important to take into account when they interact with an agent. And as a result, we had that the different nonverbal cues that we manipulated were completely separated in different channels by the users. So even though the social psychology suggests that cues of proximity may impact the perceived friendliness of a person, in our case, we had a sharp distinction. So proximity was only having an impact on the level of extraversion that was of the level of extraversion that was perceived by users of the agents. On the other hand, smile and gaze were having a huge impact on the level of friendliness. And interesting also is that the results hold for the different camera perspective, which means that in a third-person view, the user really embodies himself, herself, in the avatar, and so feels that the impressions that is forming are really, so that the agent is really making an impression on the user and not on the avatar that is watching, approaching that agent. And we are, regarding the user personality and the way this alters the judgment of the agents, we only had results for a certain group of subjects, but not for all. So we are not sure about this particular relationship about the cues that were observed and the way people interpret those cues according to their personality. So what's next? Our next step is to make another control experiment where we use our different agents, and we want to study what's the impact on the user when they are able to manage their impressions in different ways using only nonverbal behaviors. And in particular, we want to ask users, we want to understand what is the level of commitment that they have if they have to spend more time in a long-term scenario with this agent. And as a second step, we want to use these results, I say here on the battlefield, because with our collaborators at Northeastern University, we want to use our knowledge for a series of relational agents that will deploy in houses of elderly people. And this will be used to promote their social networking and physical activities. And so our purpose will be to test if using our agents that they are able to manage the first impressions on users is really having an impact on the user's decision or our famous questions about user rejection of this agent. And so in conclusion for today, we know that only 12 seconds of interaction with an agent in a first encounter are important, and people are able to form impressions of agents like people do with other humans in real life. Nonverbal behavior plays an important role in the context of first encounters and first impressions. And finally, different camera perspectives that are widely used in realizations of virtual environments are not having an impact on the perception and the interpretations of virtual agents that we represent in this environment. Okay, that's all I wanted to say, and I'm open for questions. Okay, so the question is that we are focusing our attention on only nonverbal behaviors, but then in the real applications, these agents they have different behaviors. They are also dressed up in different ways. There are a lot of things going on. So for our study, it was important to control the experiment. So we had to have a little number of other external biases. Of course, in the real application, we will take care of this, And in particular, the first thing that we'll do at Northeastern University is to see if using their agents, our results still hold. So we'll first check that our results are okay, and then we will go on and proceed with our actual goal and our actual study.